Welcome to my channel. This week I'm taking a look at my first ever art subscription box, which is the Well Inked box. As far as I can tell, they are a newer subscription box company versus, say, Art Snacks or Scrawler Box, but I'll discuss more about why I chose to subscribe to them later. I haven't actually opened this box yet, and I am doing this live on camera, so I guess we'll take a look at what's inside if I can figure out how to get inside. Oh my. Oh! Upside down, guys. I'm a genius. Okay. Oh, it's so cute. So the box is pretty plain, really, but I mean, I'm not super bothered by it. And there's a super cute card with their logo and everything. So they are technically a creative supplies box. They're not necessarily an art supply box, but oh god, that was spoilers. Okay. Oh, cute. So it comes with a brush. This is the Epic Series E500104 in white, if I can get that on camera, and it is a taklon brush. It's a size 4. It's a little dusty from probably these little black worm things. So that's fresh artist trading cards. So that's cool. They're like they're Strathmore watercolor paper, but I guess they're little card size paper. Oh, that's so cute. Okay, and it's cold press, which I'm not very good at working with, but we'll see. And there's also watercolors. So they come in sky blue, brilliant yellow, japonica, scarlet, and pearl gray, and they're the Peerless transparent watercolors. So they're the kind that are like the little papers that you apply water to, and then they're watercolor. At least that is what it looks like. Packaged exclusively for Well Inked. Oh, and there's a sticker. I really like their logo, actually, so that's very cool. And then there's this, which I feel like a jerk for ripping it. And so it is a Winsor Newton Cotman watercolor in Indian red. I've actually never used Winsor Newton. Yeah, I've never used Winsor Newton, so that is interesting. And this is... I will have to look and see what this is. Oh, this is like a brush holder, so that's cool. Like you would put, let me get this out of the way. Oh no! So you put your brush like that. So that's cool. And then this looks to be, it's a Derwent Art Bar. I'm gonna have to look at the Derwent Art Bar. These triangular bars have a creamy consistency and are highly pigmented. They can be used on their own for expressive marking, blending, and layering. Adding water with a brush will cause these marks to melt onto the paper. Okay, so I guess they're kind of like a stick watercolor type of concept. Okay, that's cool. And the brush rest, which is what this is technically called, is by Rebecca Graves Pottery. One of our goals for Well Inked Box has been to work with other artisans and creatives. This watercolor box has given us the opportunity to include a beautiful handmade brush rest from Rebecca Graves made exclusively for you. Because they're untreated, they develop a patina as you use them, so that's cool. Back to voice overlay. She's much less awkward. So, full disclosure, I filmed myself doing swatches and painting using the supplies, and half of the footage ended up with these weird rolling horizontal bands. As far as I can tell, they're caused by the LED light bulbs I use. I don't often look at the viewfinder when I'm filming, which is probably one of the dumbest things you can do because then you end up with things out of frame, which I often do. Okay, so back to the box. I'm just going to read the blurb for the Peerless transparent watercolors because during these swatches I'm using them differently from how they instruct on the well-inked card, but when I originally filmed my swatches, I did do it properly, that's why my watercolors have squares missing. Peerless published their first watercolor book in 1902, and little has changed in their production since then. Their convenient form, incredible transparency, and self-blending properties have gained this product worldwide fame. To use, cut a small piece of the color film, place in a container, and add water to dissolve the color from the film. Remove the film clippings and dilute with more water if necessary. Your colors are ready to use. They did surprise me as they were different from other paper watercolors, card watercolors? What would you even call these? Of their kind, in that they don't say for you to use them straight from the card, but I ended up doing that anyway when I did the second round of swatches. I do find they're messy, and the yellow in particular got all over my fingers and my keyboard in a way that kind of made me think of Cheetos dust. The watercolors are incredibly vivid and transparent, though they're warmer in color than I would normally choose. The red and yellow together did make a lovely skin tone, but the colors for Sailor Moon ended up fairly inaccurate since her colors are so much cooler and deeper than the Peerless watercolors allowed. Which isn't a bad thing. I drew Sailor Moon before I had swatched the watercolors, so I didn't entirely realize the reds and blues wouldn't work. They do look very, very different in card form, so if you do ever try these, I do recommend swatching them first. I did use the Derwent Art Bar in blush on Sailor Moon's cheeks, which was very subtle, but it's very pretty. I hope the swatches show up well on camera as it is a very, very pale, sort of dusty baby pink. It appeared opaque when I just straight up drew it on the swatch sheet, but when diluted with water it does appear to become transparent. It does melt with water, as they say in the blurb, and it does that far easier than you would expect. The Winsor Newton Cotman watercolor was fine. I've never really used it before, but it did the job. It is watercolor. I didn't really use it in the painting because Sailor Moon doesn't really have any brown in any of her color scheme, but it is very pretty. I don't have many earth tones in tube form, so I'm sure it will get its use eventually. Though it is definitely semi-transparent to opaque. It's not very transparent at all. I did use a different brush for the swatches, but the entirety of painting Sailor Moon, I used the brush that I received in the well-inked box. It kept its point very well, so I didn't have too many issues getting all the fine details. The Peerless watercolors do reactivate very, very easily once they're down on paper, so there was a lot of smudging going on, and I did have colors run because I didn't wait long enough for each area to dry before applying color. It was a lot of fun to work on such a tiny watercolor, so I'm sure I'll create more using these watercolor cards. I think the fact they're cold press helps make it easier to control the water and colors when you're painting on such a small size. So why did I subscribe to this art box instead of any of the numerous other boxes I could have chosen? I mean, the obvious first reason is that this is a Canadian company and I do love to support local. It also means I don't have to fear being dinged by customs whenever I receive a box. The prices are also in Canadian, so there's no worry over the Canadian dollar dipping and the boxes raising in price. Best of all, the box is quarterly, so it's released every 3 months. I used to get the Horror Block subscription box, and I've gotten a few Loot Crates and Nerd Blocks, and I found that there was always so much stuff. Stuff that never even left the boxes because I didn't have anywhere to put it or anyone to give it to. I am incredibly happy with this first box. If you're interested in learning about Well Inked, the links will of course be down below in the description box. I did pay for this box and they didn't contact me or anything to review it. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and of course please subscribe. It means so much. Have a wonderful day and I hope to see you next Friday for another art video. Bye!